The galactic combat assessment was cancelled mid-session when the human exchange student picked up Korvax, all 847 pounds of apex predator muscle, and held him overhead like a protest sign while asking if anyone needed a spotter. Professor Zilax's three-fingered hand froze halfway to the emergency alarm. His violet eyes went completely black, the Xetherian equivalent of a blue screen of death. Around the training arena, 23 students from 16 different species stood in absolute silence, watching Isabella Martinez hold the Academy's most decorated warrior above her head with the casual ease of someone holding a houseplant. According to YouTube analytics, 99.6% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, you'll help support the channel and never miss fresh content. So, how long do you want me to keep this up? Isabella asked, shifting her grip slightly. Korvax made a sound somewhere between a growl and a whimper, his forearms flailing uselessly in the air. Because my form's pretty good, but I don't want to tire out before the actual demonstration. The structural integrity alarm started screaming. Impossible kinetic force detected, the arena's AI announced in 6 languages simultaneously. Evacuate immediately. Class 7 strength anomaly in progress. Override, Professor Zilax shouted, his voice cracking. Override code Zilax 77 Crimson. The alarm stopped, but red emergency lights continued pulsing across every surface. The professor stared at Isabella, then at his datapad, then back at Isabella. His tail started twitching, which Isabella had learned meant he was either very excited or very terrified. Possibly both. Miss Martinez, he said slowly, each word carefully enunciated. Would you please explain what you are doing? Isabella blinked. The demonstration? You said you wanted to see proper lifting technique. I figured I'd show you with Korvax since he's the biggest guy in class. She glanced up at the Vorgin warrior, who had gone very still. You okay up there, buddy? You're not going to be sick or anything? Korvax's mandibles clicked rapidly, which was either aggressive posturing or panic. Given the circumstances, Isabella was betting on panic. Put him down, the professor whispered. Please, very gently. Sure thing. Isabella lowered Korvax with controlled precision, setting him on his feet as carefully as one might place an expensive vase. The Vorgian immediately stumbled backward, all 4 arms wrapping around his torso in what looked like a self-hug. His usually crimson scales had gone pale pink. The entire class took 3 steps back in unison. Okay, seriously, what's going on? Isabella looked around at the sea of terrified alien faces. Did I do something wrong? Because I can do it again if you want. I just thought. No! The word came from at least 5 students simultaneously. Professor Zilax was frantically scrolling through his datapad, his claws clicking against the screen so fast it sounded like typing. Human baseline strength, according to Galactic Archives, maximum lift capacity 150 pounds, safety protocols rated for... He looked up at Isabella, then at Korvax, who weighed over 5 times that amount. This is impossible. What? Isabella laughed. Come on, 150 pounds. Maybe if you never work out. I mean, I'm not even that strong for a human. My brother can deadlift like 500 pounds and he's not even a professional. The silence that followed was so complete, Isabella could hear the environmental systems humming. 500? A small Zephyrite student squeaked from behind a training dummy. Yeah, and that's just amateur hour. Professional strongmen back home lift way more. There's this guy, Eddie Hall, who deadlifted over 100 pounds. And the mountain, you know what? Never mind. You look like you're gonna pass out. Professor Zilax was indeed swaying slightly. He tapped his communicator with a shaking hand. Security to Training Arena 7. Medical assessment required. And contact the dean. Immediately. Medical? I feel fine. Isabella stretched her arms over her head, rolling her shoulders. I didn't even warm up properly, but I'm good to keep going if... Nobody move! 4 security officers burst through the arena doors, weapons drawn. They were Krillians, built like bipedal bears with 6-inch claws. They took one look at Isabella standing calmly in the center of the arena and immediately adopted defensive positions. "Ma'am," the lead officer said, his voice artificially steady, "we need you to come with us, for safety protocols." Isabella raised her hands. "Okay, but I didn't do anything dangerous. I was just—" "You lifted a Vorgian apex predator over your head," the officer interrupted. "That registers as a Class 7 threat event. Please comply." "This is ridiculous." Isabella started walking toward the exit, but the security officers immediately moved to block the door. "Guys, come on. I have engineering mechanics in 20 minutes." "You're not going anywhere until we can assess the situation," the lead officer said. Isabella sighed, walked up to the door, and pushed it open. Or tried to. The 4 security officers were bracing against the other side with their combined weight, nearly 400 pounds of armored Krillian muscle. The door didn't budge from their side. It also didn't budge from Isabella's side because she was holding it closed without any apparent effort, one hand pressed flat against the metal surface. "Okay, this is just silly now," she said, maintaining pressure while pulling out her phone with her other hand. "I'm texting my advisor that I'm gonna be late." She's holding the door against all 4 of us," one officer panted into his comm. "Not straining, she's using one hand." On the other side of the door, Isabella could hear rapid footsteps and urgent conversation. She rolled her eyes and let go. The door immediately burst open, and all 4 security officers stumbled through, off balance. "Are we done with the weird security theater?" Isabella asked. "Because I really do have class." A medical drone zipped into the room, scanning lights playing across Isabella's body. It completed 3 full rotations, beeped urgently, scanned her again, then emitted a sound remarkably similar to a confused whimper. "Equipment malfunction," Professor Zilax muttered, reading the results. "Has to be equipment malfunction." "Let me guess," Isabella said. "The readings don't make sense?" "Your muscle density registers as biologically impossible. Your bone structure reads as if you have metal reinforcement implants. Your tendon strength is... The scanner thinks you're a combat android." "Cool. Can I go now?" "Miss Martinez," a new voice said from the doorway. Dean Vexthul entered the arena, her iridescent scales catching the emergency lights. She was a Solarian, one of the most intelligent species in the known galaxy, and she looked utterly baffled. "Would you mind explaining, in your own words, what happened here?" Isabella shrugged. "Professor wanted a demonstration of proper lifting form for the practical exam. I picked up Korvax because he's the biggest student. Figured it'd show better technique than using weights." "Apparently, that was... wrong? You lifted an 847-pound apex predator over your head." "I mean, yeah, that's like... what, 380 kilos? That's heavy, but it's not crazy heavy. Not like deadlifting or anything, that'd be harder." Isabella noticed everyone staring again. "What? I do CrossFit back home." "Well, did. Obviously can't here since your gyms are rated for like half the weight I'd need." Dean Vexthul's scales rippled through several colors Isabella didn't have names for. "Your species classification lists humans as Tier 6 support species. Maximum danger rating, negligible. Physical threat level, minimal." "Okay, that's kind of insulting." "Miss Martinez, the Vorgians are classified as Tier 1 predators. They are the apex species in combat situations across 7 star systems. Korvax specifically has killed 4 challengers in ceremonial combat. He is functionally indestructible by conventional standards." Isabella glanced at Korvax, who was still hugging himself in the corner. "He okay? I didn't hurt him or anything, right?" "You didn't hurt him," the dean said slowly. "You terrified him. You terrified everyone in this room. You terrified our structural integrity sensors, which thought the building was under attack." "By me lifting someone? That's a weird thing to get worked up about." The dean pressed a button on her wrist communicator. "Connect me to the Galactic Biology Council. Emergency priority." "Oh, come on," Isabella groaned. "This is way too much drama for a Tuesday." While they waited for the connection, Professor Zilax pulled up a holographic display showing the Galactic Strength database. "Look," he said, pointing at various entries. "Krillians, maximum lift capacity 340 pounds. Vorgens, 380 pounds. Humans." He scrolled down, way down, past hundreds of other species. 150 pounds. You should not be able to lift half of what you just demonstrated. That database is wrong then, like super wrong. Isabella pulled out her phone. "Want me to show you videos from Earth? There are entire competitions based around lifting heavy things. Strongman competitions, powerlifting, Olympic weightlifting, CrossFit games." The holographic screen filled with Isabella's phone screen, projected large enough for everyone to see. She pulled up a video of a strongman competition where a bearded man casually walked while carrying 200 pounds across his shoulders. 3 students fainted. "That's not possible," Professor Zilax whispered. "That exceeds maximum theoretical load for any known biological organism without mechanical enhancement. It's just training, dude. Humans have been doing this stuff for thousands of years. We're built for it." The screen chimed, and a face appeared. Elderly, female, with crystalline features that suggested silicon-based biology. "Dean Vexthal, this is lead xenobiologist Lirana. What's the emergency?" "We have a human student who just violated approximately 17 laws of physics and 4 safety regulations." "That's not entirely accurate," Isabella interjected. "Pretty sure I didn't violate any physics. Maybe your safety regulations need updating." Lirana's expression shifted to intense interest. "Put her on camera, full body scan, maximum detail." The medical drone made another pass, this time with Isabella's full cooperation. The readings appeared on screen, and Lirana went very still. "This is a malfunction," she said flatly. "These readings indicate bone density inconsistent with biological life." "Metal implants?" "Nope, just calcium and weight training." "Muscle fiber density reads as this would require genetic modification at the molecular level." "Nope, just protein and working out." "The tensile strength of your connective tissue is—" "Lady, I hate to interrupt, but I'm just a regular human. Like, I'm fit, sure, but I'm not even elite level back home." "Want me to call my mom? She's a physical therapist. She can explain human physiology way better than I can." Lirana made a sound like glass chiming. "Your species evolved naturally. No genetic engineering, no artificial enhancement." "I mean, some people use steroids, but that's cheating, and I don't. This is just normal human stuff." "There is nothing normal about lifting 8 times your body weight over your head." Isabella did some quick math. "Oh, it wasn't 8 times. I'm like 145 pounds, so Corvax was only about 6 times my weight, and I was doing a clean and press, not a deadlift. I could deadlift way more if you want actual numbers." "No!" This time everyone said it in perfect unison. Dean Vexthul was typing frantically on her datapad. "I'm requesting an emergency session with Galactic Combat Command. This changes everything." "It really doesn't," Isabella said. "Humans have been on Earth doing this stuff forever. It's not like we go around randomly attacking people." "You don't understand." The dean looked up, her scales now a deep purple that Isabella's translation implant unhelpfully labeled as existential dread. "Our entire combat curriculum is based on Vorgian physical supremacy. They are the baseline for all martial training, all tactical planning, all threat assessment. We have 3,000 years of military doctrine built on the assumption that Vorgians represent the peak of biological combat capability." "Okay?" "You just invalidated 3,000 years of military doctrine by asking if someone needed a spotter." Isabella couldn't help it. She laughed. "That's actually pretty funny when you put it that way." Nobody else was laughing. Corvax had his head in his hands, making a low, keening sound. Professor Zilax was staring at his holographic display like it had personally betrayed him. The security officers were having what looked like a whispered crisis huddle near the door. "Look," Isabella said, trying to be helpful. "I get that this is weird for you guys, but humans aren't that special. We just evolved on a heavy gravity world with a lot of predators. We had to get good at endurance and carrying capacity. Persistence hunting, you know? We'd literally chase prey until it collapsed from exhaustion, which meant we needed to be able to run for hours while carrying weapons and supplies." "Persistence hunting," Lirana repeated slowly. "You ran prey to death?" "Well, yeah. Before we invented better weapons, that's how we hunted. We weren't the fastest or strongest, so we just kept going. Eventually, everything else got tired, and we didn't." "You're ultra-endurance apex persistence predators," the dean said, her voice hollow. "That's what humans are." "I mean, I guess. We also do agriculture and art and stuff. With the strength to casually overpower any known combat species. Most humans don't fight, though. We're pretty chill most of the time." Professor Xylax looked up from his datapad. "Miss Martinez, would you say you're physically average for a human female your age?" "Maybe slightly above average. I work out regularly, but I'm not like Olympic level or anything. There are definitely stronger women back home." The professor made a sound like air escaping a balloon. "Korvax, you've been very quiet." The Vorgian warrior looked up slowly, his scales still that pale pink color. "I have trained for 17 years to achieve warrior status. I have killed 4 challengers in ritual combat. I am considered one of the most dangerous beings in this sector." His voice dropped to barely a whisper. "She picked me up like I was a child's toy." "Yeah, but you're really heavy," Isabella offered. "Like, props for that muscle mass. Your protein intake must be insane." "I want to learn," Korvax said suddenly. "How you do this." "Teach me," Isabella brightened. "Oh, sure. I mean, your physiology is different, so we'd have to adjust the programming, but basic strength training principles should still apply. We'd start with finding your baseline, then progressive overload, probably a 3-day split to start." "Absolutely not," Dean Vexthul interrupted. "Miss Martinez, until we can properly assess the implications of human physical capabilities, I'm afraid we need to implement new safety protocols." "You're benching me for being too strong. That's definitely discrimination." "We're restructuring our entire academic framework to account for the fact that humans are apparently apex super predators who consider our most dangerous warriors to be moderately heavy lifting equipment." "When you say it like that, it sounds bad." The dean's scales flickered through several more colors Isabella's implant couldn't translate. "I need to contact the Academy's insurance provider, and probably our lawyers, definitely our structural engineers." She paused. "Miss Martinez, when you say you could deadlift way more, what exactly does that mean?" Isabella shrugged. "I don't max out often because it's hard on your central nervous system, but last time I tested, I hit 315 pounds for a single. With proper form and maybe some chalk, I could probably pull 350 on a good day. That's the weight of a small spacecraft. That's the weight of 3 big guys." "Come on, don't be dramatic." "I'm not being dramatic. I'm having an existential crisis about the fundamental nature of threat assessment in the known galaxy." A new voice came through the comm system. "Dean Vexithul, this is Admiral Jataro from Galactic Combat Command. We've been listening to your situation. We're dispatching a full assessment team immediately." "With respect, Admiral, I don't think that's necessary," Isabella said. "I'm really just trying to get to my engineering mechanics class." "Miss Martinez, do you understand that if your capabilities are representative of your species, we need to completely restructure our understanding of human integration into galactic society? I mean, you let us in, so you must have done some research, right?" "Our research indicated humans were a peaceful, technologically developing species with minimal physical capabilities and high cognitive function. We classified you as ideal candidates for academic and scientific roles with negligible security concerns." "That's still mostly accurate. We are peaceful. We just also happen to be able to lift heavy things." "You're not just lifting heavy things," Professor Xylax interjected. You're demonstrating physical capabilities that exceed our top-tier combat species while maintaining its normal for your people. Do you understand how that changes the threat assessment matrix? Isabella frowned. We're not threatening anyone. That's the whole point. Just because we can do something doesn't mean we will. Every predator species says that, Admiral Jotaro said, right up until resources become scarce or conflicts arise. Wow, okay, that's pretty speciesist. Humans have been working on peace treaties and international cooperation for centuries. We don't just automatically become violent. You hunted prey to death through persistence, predation. Like 50,000 years ago, we also invented philosophy and pizza. You can't just define us by one thing. There was a long pause. Dean Vexthul and Admiral Jotaro were clearly having a private communication Isabella wasn't privy to. She checked her phone. Engineering mechanics had started 10 minutes ago. Okay, look, Isabella said. I get that this is weird and scary for you guys, but here's the thing. Humans have been integrating into galactic society for 5 years now. Hundreds of us are in your academies, on your stations, working in your companies. If we were actually dangerous, you'd know by now. We're helpful. Sometimes annoyingly helpful. My roommate is Zephyrite, and I carry her groceries because the gravity here is rough on her. That's what humans do. We see someone struggling, and we help. By overpowering them, Professor Zilax asked weakly, by using our advantages to make life easier for everyone. Yeah, we're strong. We're also really good at pattern recognition, abstract thinking, and empathy. We're built to be cooperative. That's how we survived on Earth. We work together. Korvax stood up slowly, his scales gradually returning to their normal crimson. She is right. In the 3 months Miss Martinez has been in our class, she has never shown aggression. She helps other students with their equipment. She shares her food. She makes everyone laugh. He paused. Even when I challenged her to combat demonstration last month, she declined and suggested we study together instead. You challenged her? Dean Vexthul asked. I thought she was weak. She looked small. Korvax's mandibles clicked in what might have been embarrassment. She said violence was a poor substitute for communication and asked if I wanted help with the physics homework. Did you? Isabella asked. Yes, you explained orbital mechanics very clearly. Admiral Jotaro's voice cut back in. Dean Vexthul, I'm authorizing a full review of human species classification. In the meantime, implement whatever protocols you deem necessary for the safety of all students. Understood, Admiral. The comm clicked off. The Dean looked at Isabella for a long moment. Miss Martinez, I'm not suspending you or restricting your activities. However, I am going to require that we add human-specific safety protocols to all Academy facilities, starting with weight capacity ratings for human-accessible areas. That's fair, I guess. I'm also reclassifying humans from Tier 6 support species to Tier Unknown, pending further research. Tier Unknown sounds ominous. It's the classification we use when we genuinely don't know how to assess a species' capabilities. It's usually temporary. The Dean's scales shifted to a lighter purple. In your case, I suspect it will be permanent until we can study more humans and develop better assessment metrics. Great. I'm officially too weird to categorize. That's going on my resume. Professor Zilax was still scrolling through his datapad, making small, distressed noises. I have to rewrite my entire combat theory curriculum. 3 decades of research, just invalid. Not invalid, Isabella said gently. Just incomplete. You were working with the information you had. Now you have more information. That's how learning works. You're lecturing me on education while simultaneously destroying my life's work. I'm really not trying to destroy anything. I just wanted to show proper lifting form. Korvax approached slowly, keeping a respectful distance. Miss Martinez, my earlier request stands. I wish to learn your training methods. Isabella grinned. Yeah? Okay, but we start light. I'm thinking body weight exercises first. Get your form down, then we add resistance. You've got a different skeletal structure than humans, so we'll need to adapt, but the principles are universal. Progressive overload, adequate recovery, proper nutrition. I will follow your instruction. Cool, we'll start tomorrow. Meet at the secondary gym at 600. Bring water and a positive attitude. The secondary gym is rated for maximum 400 pounds equipment load, Dean Vexthul said. Then I guess we're doing body weight exercises for a while. Isabella checked her phone again. Okay, seriously, I've missed half of engineering mechanics now. Can I please go to class? The dean waved a hand. Go. Try not to accidentally demonstrate any more impossible physical capabilities today. No promises. We're building bridge models. If someone needs help carrying materials, I'm helping. As Isabella headed for the door, Professor Zilax called out, Miss Martinez. For what it's worth, that was excellent lifting form. Textbook technique. She turned back, smiling. Thanks, Professor. That's what I was trying to show you. After she left, the arena remained silent for a long moment. Finally, one of the Zephyrite students raised a small hand. Professor? Are all humans like that? Professor Zilax pulled up Earth's population statistics. 8.2 billion humans. He thought about Isabella's casual comment about not even being that strong for a human. He thought about her mentioning professional athletes and her brother who could lift 500 pounds. Yes, he said quietly. I believe they probably are. By the eternal stars, someone whispered. Dean Vexthul was already composing a priority message to the Galactic Council. The subject line read, Urgent, Human Physical Capabilities. Drastically underestimated. Request immediate species reclassification. In the body of the message, she wrote, We have been operating under the assumption that humans are weak, fragile support species suitable primarily for academic roles. This assumption is catastrophically incorrect. A human university student with no military training or physical augmentation just lifted our most dangerous combat species over her head for exercise demonstration purposes. She considers this normal. She considers herself average. She mentioned stronger humans exist. Recommend immediate galactic-wide assessment of human integration protocols and combat capability classification. Also recommend structural reinforcement of any facilities housing humans, as our current infrastructure is not rated for their casual strength output. Request guidance on how to explain to our insurance providers that we accidentally admitted a planet of benevolent super predators to our educational system. She paused, then added, The human student in question is very nice and wants to help her Vorgian classmate with workout programming. Please advise on whether we should allow this, as I have no framework for understanding the implications. Across the galaxy, the message would trigger emergency sessions in 7 different councils. Debates would rage for months about human classification, threat assessment, and integration protocols. Isabella Martinez, meanwhile, made it to engineering mechanics 25 minutes late, apologized to the instructor, and spent the rest of the class helping her Zephyrite lab partner carry materials because the gravity differential made it hard for smaller species to transport heavy objects. When her lab partner thanked her, Isabella just shrugged and said, No problem, that's what friends do. The professor observing the class made a note to include, Humans redefine baseline assumptions about strength while maintaining supportive social behaviors in his next xenosociology paper. It would become the most cited paper in galactic academic history.